So you said we are live now?
You're live, yeah.
All right.
And just give me a copy of the minutes in case you didn't get them from the last meeting.
Oh, okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
No doubt. All right, let's go. Good evening, Kurt. How are you tonight?
Good, how you doing?
Kurt, I thought that front chair was yours.
Switching it up a
You
little.
gonna mix it up? All right.
Don't you have your name on one of these chairs?
Yes, in memoriam.
For a while, you were here for so many meetings in a row.
I know.
We were gonna start charging you rent. 7 o'clock, we'll open up the meeting. Welcome, everybody, to the Pauling Village Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. It's Wednesday, May 23rd, 2023. We'll open up our meeting by doing a roll call. Jennifer, if you could do a roll call for us.
Nicholas Warleaf,
Here?
Freddie Zavito.
Here.
Ann Hardeman,
Here.
Tom Zarecki.
Here.
Absent are Dave Daniels and Karen Bruto.
Yes. Why don't we stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to switch up the order of our agenda for today just a little bit. Number 2, after opening the meeting and roll call, was supposed to be approval of the minutes. I was unable to find the minutes today and got them just before coming to the meeting, so I'm going to move that to the last thing we do tonight after other business, so that I have a time to look at them, and if anybody else also needs a few minutes to look at them, we won't be holding up everybody else today while we get up to speed on that. So is everybody okay with us moving that to the end?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. Next thing on our agenda for today is escrow. Some escrow amounts have been changed recently. Kurt has been made aware that the escrow for the 2 projects that are coming before the board today are $1,800 for each applicant. Escrow, of course, is for estimated costs for what the village will incur for legal fees, inspections, and interpretations, and so on with village planners. Of course, anything that isn't used gets given back to the applicants. So, although those numbers might sound a little bit high, Kurt, as you mentioned the other day, it is just to make sure that costs are covered for the village's expenses. I had to give a nod earlier in the week to the amounts after seeing them submitted by the agencies that we deal with, like the Dave Daniels Agency and Karen Labruto and so on. Their numbers looked fair enough for me based on their current costs for billing, and we just need to make a motion to approve the escrow amounts that were estimated by Vivian as well as those other agencies. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
What are the amounts?
$1,800 for each applicant.
Each one, okay.
That is before the board today, and I believe that probably will be it moving forward as well. It may change a little bit based on the complexity of the projects, but they did an initial assessment, and that's what was assumed would be fair. Can we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to.
Okay. Can we have a second for that motion to approve the escrow amounts? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have an unanimous vote to approve the escrow. First applicant on our agenda today, both being represented by Kurt, is 53 Fairway Drive, Adam Morosky, who's looking to do some work on a garage. Kurt, I was going to invite you to come up, but you're here already, so.
Sorry.
No,
Jumped the gun on
you're
that.
early, it's fine. You knew it was coming while I was
Yeah, I
looking
do.
at it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So, on this property is 53 Fairway Drive. It's a little bit interesting in terms of the zoning map in that the front 50 feet of the property and the rear 50 feet of the property are in the R2 zoning district, and the majority of the property, where the development is in the R1 zone district. So that's what we're dealing with here with the zoning requirements for the R1 district. It's a 1-family house. It's on a pre-existing non-conforming lot in terms of size, because you're required to have 40,000 square feet for this zone district, and the lot is actually only 16,000 and change. So it's very narrow and long.
Right.
Frontage on that, you need 150, it's only 50 feet right now. So we're very constrained in terms of setbacks on this property. So it's a 1-story house. There's a driveway that comes in on the north side of the house and accesses a 1-car garage. It was made for a car from a long time ago, so it's
When they
about
were
12
smaller?
feet wide by 20 feet long. There's an 8-foot shed to the rear of that, which is down kind of half a level in the rear of that property, in the rear of that building. The garage, unfortunately, is in poor condition. The foundation is crumbling, and it's really unusable for car storage. So what we're proposing to do is actually tear down that garage, build a new garage, and essentially the same footprint, which is 12 by 28 on the north, east, and west sides of the property, and then expand it in width to the south by 4 feet, so it'll be 16 feet wide instead of 12. The property, the side of, on the north side of the garage is 3.8 feet from the property line, and we are proposing to actually hold that line and then build from there. So 5 feet, working back and forth with Karen Labruto at Labella on this. Also, the setback for an accessory structure is only 5 feet here. So we actually are diminishing the requested variances that we had put in the application. So we need a variance for that to allow construction within that 5-foot side setback, holding that line to 3.8, so that'd be a 1.2 foot variance. And also the overall lot coverage of impervious surfaces, we're allowed up to 15% in this zone. Currently it's 20%. With the increase in the garage side, it would actually go up to 21%, so we need a 6% variance on that one. So there's only 2 variances we're requesting now for this structure.
Kurt, one item I don't see on the plan here is, I noticed that there's a little retaining wall, a rock wall along the drive in that property. Is that about, I saw that there's a little bit of space between that, is that wall on this, Marowski's property, or is that the?
I assume this is taken off the survey, so I
Okay.
assume it's
running
along the driveway. I
So
assume, yes.
this is probably gonna butt up to. or
Exactly,
about.
it's gonna be
So there's already
basically,
a structure on that point, on that line.
yeah, on that corner, basically, we're holding that north easterly corner of the
Okay.
garage and building from there, so yes.
Okay. Kurt, I was on site this past week with you. I asked a number of questions then, so you've covered basically all my questions. Ann, I know you were there as well. Do you have any additional questions tonight?
No, I don't, thank you.
You just mentioned a concern you had. Fred, is there anything that,
I took a ride back on my own.
Oh, you did
I
great.
didn't get a chance to get over there that weekend, but
Great.
I did take a ride, so I'm pretty familiar with the site.
Okay. One of the things we're gonna have to do on this project, Kurt, we have to declare ourselves lead agency, so that we can do a state environmental quality report evaluation. There's a 30-day waiting period on that for involved agencies to be able to respond. The main one that's involved in this one is the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, I
Yes.
think District 3,
Correct.
something like that. So.
And just following up on that too, just to mention to other board members we didn't mention, that I was out there with Sarah Paulziak, I believe her last name is, from the DEC, and she did flag the wetlands, so, and she is looking forward to our application for work within the 100-foot setback of the wetlands, which basically it's flagged right here in the back of the property. This is all lawn right now, so.
Right.
She didn't see a problem with it, but it has to go through the motions with the DEC.
Of course, yeah, just procedurally. And of course, the design that you guys are submitting also doesn't encroach anywhere closer to the wetlands. You're just going to the south, which is in a different direction.
Correct.
So, all right, so what we'll need to do as a next thing here, board, is procedurally, we need to declare ourselves to be the lead agency for this particular project so that we can do a seeker evaluation.
I'll make a motion to declare.
Great. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we have a unanimous vote to become the lead agency, and again, Kurt, we need to have a 30-day waiting period to make sure any agencies, specifically the EC, has time to respond before we can do a seeker evaluation.
I think, when's Vivian back? Because she'll probably need a packet of information to send to the DEC.
Should be back on Monday, maybe?
Okay.
Once I go earlier, I can get it to her.
If possible, I just would like to get it in. If we can turn it around fast, I might be able to call Sarah, because she was very helpful, and she
Mhm.
might be able to push that along a little bit, possibly.
Okay.
I don't know. We can see.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we're supposed to wait 30 days,
Yeah.
and this is the April meeting pushed into May.
Right.
So I don't know how that will work in, but obviously.
I mean, if we can get it within the 30 days, prior to the 30 days, that would be great. You know, if we can just call them and just say, can you respond to this? And that you get it before the 30 days.
Yeah, and you know what? If that is not a procedural problem, then that would be
Yeah.
great, because we can help to move things along.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
think-
that's in the applicant's best interest, and if we can make a determination and make a decision on this for you guys.
I'm
that would be
not
great.
promising that they'll move on that, but if
Yeah.
we can make the call and they are able to push it to the front, just to kind of sign
Yeah,
off on it.
and I'll have to find out too from Dave Daniels, legally, if we have to wait 30 days, even if we've had a response from what we expect to be the only agency to respond.
Yeah, I would think it's if you send it only to them,
Mhm.
check with Dave, obviously, but
Yeah.
if you get the response within the 30 days, you're satisfied.
If it's all correct procedurally, I'm totally fine with it. We don't want to break any rules.
Yes, of course, of course.
So, okay, so we're the lead agency on that, and Kurt, you've been instructed that you'll need to have a check for the 53 Fairway Drive escrow.
Yeah, I think Adam said he dropped that off tomorrow to.
Tomorrow,
I guess
okay.
Jen.
Good enough? As long as we know that it's in process. Okay. And because we haven't gone through that process yet of the 30 days and getting any responses, we can't go through the seeker. We won't go through any more of the details on this, about the specifics about the variances that you'll be looking
Mhm.
for. It just makes more sense to do that later. It'll be all fresh again, rather than having you go through it tonight and then go through it again.
Yeah,
So, all right, just want to make sure you're okay with that.
That's fine.
Why we're going to skip through that for now.
yeah.
Okay. The next project that we're going to have come before us is 24 Walnut Street. I'd like to once again invite Kurt up to the front of the room.
I'll just turn this over. Okay, so this is for the applicant Napoleon Villatoro, 24 Walnut Street. This is in the R3 zone. And what we're proposing here is to extend there's a corner kind of chunked out of the southeast corner of the existing residence here. There's a porch on the front, there's a living room area here, there's a kitchen in the back. So what we're proposing to do is actually square off the structure, so we take up that corner there. The addition would be approximately 12 by 14. And that is within the front yard setback of 25 feet, which is required. We're 16 feet proposing to be back from that front property line. And again, like the previous project, working with Karen Labruto, just organizing some things. The garage structure we looked at actually falls within zoning requirements, so we don't need a variance for that.
Oh, really?
Because we can be, with the accessory structure, we'd be within 5 feet
Okay.
of the sideline.
It's good to know, because I know when we were there on Saturday, we thought we had like a fraction of a square
Yeah, it
foot
was
corner
just
that was going to
corner,
be
yeah.
over,
But since we were working with a 15-foot setback, but
Right.
actually with a 5-foot, we're clear
Great.
on that. So that eliminates that variance.
Okay.
And it also affects the aggregates because it's only for the primary structure.
Right.
So therefore, we comply with the aggregate side yard setbacks on this. So we're only really talking on this one about the front yard setback on this.
Got it.
So it simplifies it a little bit.
Okay.
We did ask also, just for clarity, he's proposing to do some repair work on the existing covered porch, which is
Right.
actually closer to the front property line, replacing decking, railing, and the column enclosures on that. So it's within the setback, it's repair work. I don't know if it needs a variance or not in terms of it's there already, the footprint is there, we're not encroaching anymore.
Right.
But we're doing work within that area, so however this board wants to address that.
Mhm. Okay. I'm not sure exactly, we should check on that specifically. It's my understanding, just from something that I had done to myself in my own place, that generally repairs
Yes.
don't have to go through it. It's really just.
That's usually the
new
way it
things.
goes, but.
But let me check, only because it's wrapped up in this whole thing here. Maybe we do need to look at it more closely at some point. We'll check on that.
Usually it does not, but,
Mhm.
They're not putting in new footings or?
no, not at all. It's just, it's decking, railing, and the column enclosures, that's
Yeah,
all it is.
probably won't be needed, but okay. Great.
And this would be just a one-story addition, keeping in line with the existing roof line that's over here on the south side of the building, so just extending that towards the front, so it really won't change the look of the
Yeah,
building.
essentially, you're just squaring off kind of a hollow
Exactly.
in that one area there and continuing out, okay.
And this site is somewhat unique, as we were there on Saturday. The property line is actually about 20 feet back from the edge of the pavement, and there's stairs that are, a good amount into the property that go up to this higher level that we're on here. And that's actually in the right of way. So the front yard line is actually here, Edge Street's over here, so it kind of pushes that setback further into the property.
I have to say, I was somewhat amused on Saturday because we looked at the first property of Adam Borowski's, and here we had 3 different zones within his property, 1 R1 and 2 R2s. And then, of course, looking at this one where we see the property line is way up into his front yard.
Yeah,
That some of the things that have been grandfathered in and
I
have
think it was
happened
probably just a
historically
narrow
are
street
very strange.
historically, and then when either the village or whatever took the taking for that right of way, it just
Mhm.
kind of pushed into property, so.
Very amusing. Okay. We also will have to need to do a seeker evaluation for this particular project. So once again, we're going to need to take a vote on establishing or declaring ourselves the lead agency for this particular project. Can I have a motion to declare ZBA as lead agency?
I'll make a motion to declare ZBA as lead agency.
Excellent. Can we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, for a second, all in favor of declaring ourselves lead agency?
Aye.
We have a unanimous vote to declare lead agency.
I don't think there are any other involved agencies, though, are there?
I don't believe there are, Kurt. And actually, one of the things that I discussed earlier with Karen LaBruta was because that was the case, do we still have to wait the 30 days?
Yeah, I don't think, because you're
She
not waiting
was-
for a
She didn't
response.
think so. However, because I was thinking if possible, we could perhaps go through seeker tonight and check all the boxes necessary and then perhaps evaluate in greater detail and make a determination tonight as to whether or not to grant your requested variances. But apparently there's a law, ZS 98-16 about the accessory structures. Apparently you need to update the plan to Karen. And since the whole thing is connected, we really can't move forward until the whole plan's been updated
Okay.
because it has incorrect information about it. Even though what you've done is you've said we're within the rights, we have to have the proper plan before we move forward. So since Karen only got that to you verbally in discussion about
Right.
what was going on, we actually can't move forward until we get the full plan updated. So I apologize, because I was hoping that we could move
Yes,
things
so
forward
was I.
today if possible.
Yes.
But procedurally, our hands are a bit tied. What's
That's
that?
the setback that we're talking about, the 15 to the 5?
Yes.
Okay.
However, because this whole thing is wrapped up in one plan, Karen needs a fully updated plan before we can move forward. Again, I was hoping that we could perhaps move forward so that whether or not we determined the variances would be granted, your client could move in one direction or another
Right.
earlier rather than later,
Yes.
but we're not going to be able to do that until the next meeting.
Okay.
So my apologies for that. So once again, on this particular project, there'll need to be escrow delivered either at this meeting or shortly afterwards of $1,800. I just needed to check on that even.
The applicant has been made aware, and I thought he was either gonna try to drop off a check today, which you probably did not see, so therefore he did not.
Okay.
But it will be coming, so,
Good enough. I'm gonna write in my notes here, coming soon.
yes.
Okay, so we have to wait, obviously, on Walnut Street's decisions as well until we get a new plan through Karen.
Okay.
At this point, we can move on to other business. Kurt, thank you very much.
All right,
Adam,
thank
thank you
you.
very much. We'll have to address your issues at our next meeting.
Okay, and anything you need in advance or whatever to help, if there's anything you need from me, just let me know and
Yeah.
make sure you get it.
Sure.
All right.
One thing I do want to say, often we have time for the public to comment, but because both of these are being put on hold procedurally, I think it makes more sense when we're giving more details at a future meeting that we'll open it up for public comment at that point, because then they'll be hearing more information about the specifics.
So are we keeping a public hearing open, or are we not? Because it was advertised as a public hearing, do we need to do anything?
It's a public hearing, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to open up for public comment tonight.
Okay,
I'd rather do that at the next meeting when we have more details about exactly how many feet and so on. It just didn't seem to make sense to me, maybe I'm wrong here, to go into all those details now since we're going to have to go into them again later anyhow.
okay,
So
okay,
I figure
all
it
right.
makes more sense to go into the details later and have public comment with detailed questions about it.
I would just need to know, do we need to renotice if we're doing another meeting?
I don't know ZBA.
Oh.
I would almost say to open the public hearings and leave them open to the next meeting, and then just
Okay.
notice them as continuations.
Unfortunately, 2 people just left.
Yes.
Well, we
Or
can leave it
just
open.
Or we just renotice it as public hearings next time.
You know what? let's do this a little bit differently then.
Sure.
My apologies, guys. I am a recent chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, so there may be a few procedural bumps in the road as we move along. I'll do the best I can. I will ask the board if if someone is willing to make a motion to open up a session for public comment at tonight's meeting right now. Do I have a motion?
I so moved.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now opening up this meeting to public comment on these two projects that Kurt has brought before us. Does anyone who's still remaining have any questions about these projects that Kurt has brought forward? And they can ask him directly if they wish. No? Okay. Unfortunately, two of the people who left very quickly may have had questions, but we're going to keep the public comment open until the next meeting
Yeah,
as
I think
well.
that-
But
I
at
think
least
that was
this
the
way.
way to go, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you,
We'll
guys.
close that.
Thank you for the coaching. Okay.
All right, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. We'll see you soon. Okay, next thing we have is other business. There have been some changes that Vivian has been working with regarding the Poughkeepsie Journal, which is where the public notices are put regarding upcoming meetings and what the projects are. They've unfortunately changed their deadlines, which has made it very challenging for Vivian to get things turned around and posted in time for the meetings. Previously, there was a 2-week deadline for an applicant to get paperwork in to Vivian for the zoning board meetings. It had to be submitted 2 weeks before the meeting in order to be included in the meeting. But because of this change with the Poughkeepsie Journal's publication, it ended up that there was about a day and a half, like 36 hours between getting some paperwork in and getting it published in time. And if there was any delay or legal questions or something, then it wasn't going to make it. So it's been suggested that we move the deadline from 2 weeks before the ZBA meeting to 4 weeks before the ZBA meeting for applicants, so that they get their paperwork in time so that it can be published. And I need somebody to make a motion to move the deadline for applicants to 4 weeks before a meeting rather than the current 2 weeks. Do we have a motion?
Is there a possibility of changing what day we meet to meet that, meet that deadline?
Either way, it's gonna be the same thing. If we change when we're meeting, it's just, there's a deadline each week
Gotcha,
for that.
okay.
So it's gonna be either this day this week and that many weeks forward, or this day this week. Changing the day that we meet isn't necessarily gonna really give her much more time, except for like another few hours, a 24-hour period or something.
Okay.
So it was suggested by the clerk, and I believe she spoke to a number of related parties about what would be a good solution, and we figured that just simply moving it to 4 weeks gives the applicants some leeway too to get things in order.
Okay.
So,
I make a motion to approve the 4-week window, is that correct?
yeah, 4 weeks rather than 2 weeks. Great. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of moving the applicant's deadline to 4 weeks before our ZBA meeting from the current 2-week period, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, we have a unanimous vote to move the deadline to 4 weeks. All right. The last thing on our agenda is the minutes, which, once again, I had not had a chance to look at. I'm going to take a few moments here. I invite the rest of you also to take a look, see if we see anything that may need to be changed, and then we can vote on that.
date errors.
Or do you?
Yeah, well, the second, everybody else has the meeting, it says meeting date March 30th, and then it says meeting date March 21st on the front page.
I think the second set of minutes is from the year ago.
A year ago
Yeah.
on that same
Yeah,
project.
the 3/30/22,
Gosh, okay.
yeah.
That was the year.
I was
The-
getting
the applicant
confused
needed
because
to-
it had you as chairman before, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at 22.
Yeah, the applicant needed to come before us
Apologize.
again to get an extension before the full year was up.
Now it makes sense.
So they did it within like 9 days, I think.
See attached.
Good catch, though.
See attached 3/30/20. If I read the first page carefully, I wouldn't have had that issue.
We're all here to check on each other, Tom. You guys need to check on me too. I've had some time to look through it just now, and I think everything looks in order to me. Does anybody see anything that needs to be changed? Does anybody need more time to look at it?
No, I had a chance and I think it looks fine to me.
Great. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 21st, 2023 ZBA meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
We have a second.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we have a unanimous vote to approve the minutes. I think that covers anything. Jennifer, is there anything we're missing here? No? Okay. Any comments from anybody else here on the board about our current meeting and what we had going on here tonight? No?
Great job.
Oh, thanks, I wasn't looking for a compliment, thank you. Okay, I guess we can make a motion to adjourn. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
All right, can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a unanimous vote to adjourn. All right, thank you, board members. Thank you, audience, you've been all so quiet. Thank you for your presence, you make it all feel worthwhile.